live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Big Mouth Willie Bass Podcast. I'm Ryan Willis.
You're talking about Willis.
Matt, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm great and getting better, as you used to say.
I did every single day of my life.
Yeah, well, you know.
Well, it's worth it, right? To record a show for our great fans out there, all 32 subscribers.
Yeah, I thought it was supposed to be 34, but yeah, 32. Yep.
Oh, really? 2 people unfollowed us, huh? Well, can't blame them. Lol. But seriously, folks, smash that subscribe button and like this video and all of our other videos. And also leave a comment. We love to hear from people.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we got a comment, so I might have to get the comment section rolling this episode.
Yeah. Gosh, it's getting to the point where I almost miss the bots commenting on our videos. Hi, Mr. Bot. Hi.
Well, the viewers don't need to know that's actually fake, but yeah, okay.
Well, yeah, when we first started, we were getting bots commenting on our videos left and right. I kept thinking it was a real person.
Yeah, well.
You saw me coming.
Still.
All right, well.
Oh, wells.
Tonight we are talking mostly NFL again. Mr. Phillip Rivers decided to hang him up after 17 seasons in the NFL. So we're going to start off with that. And then we're going to dive into some NFC and AFC championship game talk. Who's going to the Super Bowl? Well, we're going to find out this weekend. So we're going to get into those games. And then I want to go over what the Detroit Lions decided to do. They hired head coach Dan Campbell. And he had a very bizarre press conference, introductory conference, to say the least. So we will hopefully have some time to get to that. But before all of that, let's go and dive into our first topic, Matt. Phillip Rivers, our man, our guy, San Diego's quarterback.
Hell yeah, man.
Retires after 17 seasons in the National Football League, 16 of which were with the Chargers. Matt, I know you were very disappointed and saddened that he decided to retire. I was as well, but I think it's a good decision. I honestly do, because he did have a very solid 2020. Absolutely. He I think actually exceeded expectations in a lot of ways, but I would rather he retire on a high note than sticking around too long, which I think is exactly what Drew Brees and Ben Uselessberger have now done, where they clearly seem like they just do not have it anymore. Their arm strength has declined tremendously. And I'm happy for Phillip that he is retiring on his own terms.
Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely a very sad day yesterday to hear that news, because I do think that he can play. I don't think this is a question of whether or not he can still play, because I think he can still play, but I guess he just felt that with him and his, 10 million kids he has, now was the time to be the family man, be the father that those kids need. But it is disappointing still, though, because it's like, gosh, we could have one more year of that gunslinger,
That old country boy.
Yeah.
Well, hey, now that he has officially retired, him and his wife can finally settle down and start a family. Rafa.
It's fun. I think those jokes are kind of getting old, but at the same time, it is true.
I think I've seen that joke on Twitter about, a couple dozen times since yesterday.
Yeah.
I can't come up with my own material. I'm not very original. Yeah. Sorry. No, he already has. They probably will have at least another one or two, if I had to guess. I mean, what's stopping them at this point? If they have 9 already, my goodness. But
yeah,
honestly, I'm happy for him. Like I said, I'm glad that he's going out on a high note. He took the Colts to the playoffs. I don't think many people, experts, if you will, really predicted that or expected him to do that. He had a good, solid year. Yes, it would have been nice to see him come back for one more year. I really feel like the Colts were a very young team in 2020. So you give some of those young guys more experience. Maybe they bring in a couple more key free agents, have another good draft. Who knows? They might have a shot at the Super Bowl next year. depending on who their quarterback's going to be now. But again, I would rather him retire maybe 1 year too soon than 1 year too late.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that because it's kind of like that fine line between you would like to see an NFL player, play as long as he can, but at the same time to like leave on your own terms when you're still pretty near to the top of your game. That's always a rewarding thing in itself. So, I mean, I think without a doubt, though, Philip Rivers is a Hall of Fame quarterback because his accolades, his accomplishments, I think it speaks for themselves. I mean, I know he never did win the big one, but I think a lot of that goes to the incompetence of the franchise he was with most of his career. But overall, still, I salute that man.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next point, Matt, that I was going to bring up is that's what everybody has been talking about since Philip announced he was stepping away yesterday is he a Hall of Fame quarterback? Now, to me, it's a no-brainer. Yes, he is. And it has nothing to do with the fact that he was a San Diego Charger for so many years, and we love the man dearly. Take the bias out of it. The guy has the numbers. He's top five in career passing yards. He's top five in passing touchdowns. He started 240 consecutive games, which is second all time behind Brett Favre. Brett Favre. I mean, this guy is one of the toughest son of a guns the game has ever seen. I mean, Phil could have played back in the leather helmet days for crying out loud. That's just how tough he was. There would be you could have an entire defensive line collapse on top of the guy. So that would be collectively well over 1,000 to 2,000 pounds worth, and he would still get up, Matt, every single time. It was incredible.
Yeah. Well, I think that's also why I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame as well. It's just because he's very unique. Like, there's no other quarterback that was like Philip Rivers, just from his awkward throwing motion, like that sidearm. His personality as well. There
God
hasn't been
damn it!
someone like with his Yeah, there you go, the impressions. But yeah, just personality wise and his style is just very unique, and it's one of those things that we're probably never going to see again. So that's probably also why it's saddening because there isn't going to be another Philip Rivers like quarterback again. Because not only that, the traditional pocket passers, they're kind of starting to fizzle out. It's more like mobile quarterbacks and those things. So, but like we've been talking about, though, it's just him going out on his own terms. Though that's a good thing, because if I feel like a lot more people would be critical of him if like he had a bad year and the Colts missed the playoffs. But I mean, they won 11 games and he was definitely a key for that. So, I mean, and hell, even last year, Indianapolis only won like 6 or 7 games. So there was definitely an upgrade at the quarterback position for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And look, I think the reason why a lot of people didn't like Philip and why they probably don't consider him a Hall of Famer, like you mentioned, he never won the Super Bowl. Okay, fine. Last time I checked, it's a team game. Yes, I know we judge our quarterbacks a lot of the times off of did they win a Super Bowl? If they did, how many did they win? But to me, look, that 2004 draft class, Matt, which honestly might go down as one of the greatest of all time, at least when it comes to quarterbacks, because you had Rivers, you had Eli Manning, and Ben Roethlisberger. Now we know that Eli and Ben both won 2 Super Bowls apiece, but if you ask me who had the better career, I think you can make a strong argument that Philip was better than those two. That's the crazy thing about it. And we all know that probably the biggest reason why Philip never won a Super Bowl is because he played for the Chargers most of his career. The Spanos family, they don't know how to win. They've never won. And every time that they actually had a decent team or even a really good team, they would start letting pieces walk out the door, or hey, let's fire Marty Schottenheimer after a 14-2 season. So, he was a victim of circumstance, man. But I also feel like people look at his postseason career, and there's really not, I don't know, a signature moment other than the fact that he, of course, played on a torn ACL. in the 2007 AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is his moment right there. It's like, oh my gosh, he tore his ACL the week before, like 6 days prior, and he went out there and gutted it out and played. I mean, has anybody ever done that before? I mean, I know Jack Youngblood played on a
Not
broken
that. Nope.
leg in the Super Bowl in the 70s, or was it the 80s for the LA Rams? But my goodness, man. So look, his career postseason record was 5-7, not spectacular, but to me, if you would have put Rivers on the Steelers, the Giants, just a competent NFL franchise, he probably would have at least gotten to a Super Bowl. I have to believe. But I don't know. Some people might say I'm just making excuses for him. Fine. But his numbers don't lie, man. His career stats are amazing. And yes, he belongs in the Hall of Fame. He probably should even be first ballot, but I feel like he probably won't get there immediately just because he didn't win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, I would understand if he isn't first ballot, but he 100% should get in second or third ballot. Because, like, I don't think, like, if you were to ask me, like, for instance, is Peyton Manning's going to be going in this year? Like, Peyton Manning, like, that's a first ballot Hall of Famer. But Phillip is just, I think, a little bit lower than that. But he's 100% a Hall of Famer. I don't think you can write the history of the NFL without including Phillip Rivers in there somewhere. So that's one way to look at it.
Yeah, and look, I'm not going to say he was as great as Manning or Brady or any of those elite quarterbacks, but he was in the conversation. You knew every single year that he was one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and that if you were going to have to play him a particular week, he was going to give you everything he had. He played the game with
Yeah.
that
Well,
like
yeah.
charm, that country boy. He was the biggest trash talker in the world, but he never cursed. It was all clean.
Yeah.
Ask any
Well,
player
keep
that
this in
played
mind.
against them or was teammates with them.
Well, keep this in mind too is that like I've never heard anyone like teammates or even players that he's played against. Nobody ever says anything bad about him. Like everyone always holds him to this like very high level of respect, and everyone, for the most part, everyone very respects him within the league. So a lot of that's because of his personality.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of opposing players didn't always care for him jawing at them, but I think at the end of the day, yes, there was that mutual respect.
Absolutely. So, uh, kudos to the legend Phillip Rivers riding off to the sunset, and you also you haven't mentioned it yet, but in his retirement post, he did not include LA and only included San Diego. So that's absolutely worthy of a cheers moment right there.
Thank you for bringing that up, man. I loved that. Absolutely loved it. He said, I want to thank San Diego fans and all the fans across the nation that either cheered or booed me. So he specifically said San Diego, did not mention LA. I love that. Look, we've
Yeah.
talked about it in previous episodes. Philip was not on board with the move to LA. You could just tell. Like he never said it, but you could just tell body language. He was not on board with that.
Wherever he used to commute 2 hours north from San Diego because he never did move up
Right.
there.
He continued to live in San Diego. That to me tells me everything. The guy loved the city. He didn't want to move up there and his 9 million kids. So to me, he will always be San Diego's quarterback. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter say, oh, like, does he really care about San Diego? Yes, he does.
Myself and our team certainly understand the mixed feelings and emotions many here in San Diego have about our move. It's more than understandable. Those that still cheer and pull for us each week, we certainly appreciate it. I, again, personally want to express my gratitude for all the love and support that I've always felt in and around town whenever I'm out and about. As I trot out there every Sunday with that bolt on my helmet and a 17 on my back and play like crazy with that passion and fight that's the only way I know how. I hope that there's some of you still here in San Diego that can still say that's our quarterback. Thank you.
Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, he does care about the city, and I guarantee you that off the record, he would tell you, yeah, I hated that move. I would have preferred staying and finishing my career in San Diego, but it didn't work out that way. But I will thank him for going to the Colts for that 1 year because I have a new team now. I am going to continue to root for the Colts. I said wherever he goes, unless it's New England or Pittsburgh, pretty much, that I was going to become a full-time fan of that team. So I will still be a Colts fan, Colts Nation.
Oh, that's good. It means loyalty is not dead yet in 2021.
It's obviously going to be different. It's not going to be the same without Philip there. But the Colts are a fun team.
Oh, that's good that you finally having a permanent team now. I can't really say that because even though I was hoping success to Philip, I never really like hopped on the wagon like you per se. But hey, that's good. More power to you.
Yeah. Amen, brother. All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into the AFC and NFC championship games.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to the Super Bowl? Matt, where do you want to start? AFC or NFC?
Let's get some AFC action first.
All right. So we got the 2-seeded Buffalo Bills at the 1-seeded KC Chiefs or Chefs. Woo! Well, Matt, it looks like Patrick Mahomes is going to start, or at least he's trending in the right direction. I know he's been practicing on a limited basis the last couple days here. So, honestly, it would be a complete, utter shock if he does not play, does not suit up for this game. The NFL, I don't. Even if he didn't pass the concussion protocols, I feel like the NFL would still be like, get him out there, push him out on the field, take him out.
They don't want Chad Henne. Oh, what about Chad Henne though? anything is possible.
I mean, Henny's a nice backup, but man, I wasn't too impressed by what I saw from him last week when he had to fill
Yeah.
in for Mahomes. I mean, I know he got that. Well, he actually didn't even get the first down on that rush towards the end. Remember, he ran it for like, what was it,
Yeah.
15 yards, and they said he was inches short. And Andy Reid, man, what a gutsy call that was going for it on 4th and inches. Because if they don't get that, the Browns have a short field, and all they needed was a touchdown to win the game. So that could have been real interesting for the Chiefs. But in any event, Matt, the Bills and the Chiefs, this was the matchup I wanted because I truly believe these are the two best teams in the AFC. Josh Allen, to me, was the MVP of the league this year. I mentioned that last week on the show. I honestly, and Matt, I think you mentioned this last week. The Chiefs, yes, we know they were 14-2, but man, they have not looked pretty recently. And I really think the Bills, they showed me. Remember last week I was like, oh, was not impressed by the Bills in the game against the Colts. So now I can't pick them. I picked the Ravens, and I looked like a complete idiot because the Bills destroyed the Ravens. So I'm starting to kind of regain that trust and confidence in the Bills. I think the Bills are going to go into Arrowhead and win, Matt. I really do. I just have not liked what I've seen from the Chiefs in their last 2 or 3 games. Their defense has just been suspect. Mahomes, even, I mean, I understand he's Mahomes, but even he looked a little out of sync last week. I don't know if this is because he didn't play for a couple weeks or what, but then he missed, half the game this past week against the Brownies. So Mahomes has not played a whole lot over the last 3 weeks. So that might come into play. We'll see. But I think the Bills have a better defense. I think Josh Allen has played just as well, maybe even better than Mahomes overall this season. I think I'm going to go with the Bills. What do you think?
Well, that's definitely a bold prediction, but but no, I understand that though, because the Chiefs, or as you called them, the Chefs, they definitely got a lot of injuries right now. Not just Mahomes. Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's injured. I know they got some defensive players as well that are banged up. So I think that's going to play a big factor into the game. And to tell you the truth, I agree with you. I'm going to go with Buffalo as well because
Wow.
I'm just not impressed with Kansas City lately. And I mean, I was even saying I wouldn't have been shocked if the Browns upset Kansas City. And you and Randy Goodman didn't really agree with me there, but sure enough, the game came down to.
We laughed you out of the building.
But sure enough, the game came down to like the final minute almost. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a good game, but I mean, the Bills are more healthier and their defense, man, they held Lamar Jackson in Baltimore to 3 points. So that's a pretty good feat right there. So speaking of chefs, I mean, they're cooking up some good victories right now. And I think they're going to bring into Kansas City and punch them in the mouth.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a close game. Might come down to a game-winning field goal. But yeah, I like the Bills. I just have not seen enough from the Chiefs recently for me to really fully believe that they're going to get this done. I mean, obviously, if they end up beating the Bills, I'm not going to be surprised. I mean, this is the defending Super Bowl champs we're talking about. All I'm saying is the Bills, other than the game against the Colts 2 weeks ago, they have probably been the best team in football over the last month or so.
Yeah, they definitely have been up there. And their offense only did score 10 points last week against Baltimore. But at the same time, too, it is playoff football. So more times than not, there's going to be less scoring. But yeah, I think, with Mahomes banged up, I think that's a real big issue. Because I'm pretty sure Mahomes has like ankle injury too, doesn't he? Or he has a lower leg injury, like that's kind of affecting him a little bit. So It's not just his concussion. So he's pretty banged up. And, Chad, if they have to resort to Chad hitting, I think the game's over. Like Buffalo win pretty easily. So, I think that just proves though how different the first half of the year was saying Campbell, but injuries happen and the game changes.
The game changes. Well said. Well said. All right, so we're both picking the Bills, which probably means the Chiefs will win. So take that to Vegas.
Yeah, probably.
All right, Matt.
Yeah.
NFC game. This one, man, this is going to be a good one too. I think we got the Green Bay Packers, the 1 seed, hosting the Tampa Bay Brady's, the Bucks, the wild card team. Brady is in another conference championship game. I believe it's his 14th of his career. Just insanity.
Yeah.
So these two teams played each other. I believe was it week 6, Matt. I want to say, and the Packers got destroyed by the Bucks. It was in Tampa, but I don't think that really factored into anything. But yeah, the Packers looked awful against the Bucks in the beginning of the season. So I had to think that the Packers are going to rebound. The Bucks, I feel like, yeah, obviously you got to take them seriously because they got Brady over there, but I really feel like the Bucks benefited from the Saints just really not being as good as we kind of thought they were. Breeze clearly needs to retire. Breeze did not look good in that game against the Bucks last week. Their defense was so-so. I really wonder how much it was the Bucks that really delivered the final blow there to the Saints, or if it was just the Saints just not playing good football. But I really think the Packers probably have played as well as anyone, other than the Bills, maybe. Rodgers is just locked in. I think the Packers are going to win this game. I think they're going to win relatively easily, honestly.
Interesting. Um, yeah, I think this one for me is harder to predict than Kansas City and Buffalo because I think Green Bay and Tampa, like, I really think you can make an argument for both teams pretty good. But you know, I picked Tampa Bay last week. And you know what? I think I'm going to pick them again. Believe it or not.
Brady
yeah,
magic carpet ride, huh?
I mean, look, I'm not like the biggest Brady fan by any means. Like, I always hated him when he was with New England, but I just feel like Brady is just like LeBron in the sense that, like, until someone actually dethrones him, like, how can I pick against him? And that team is just playing red hot football. Like, I get what you're saying with the Saints. Like, I think a lot of people overhype them, but at the same time, too, I mean, the Saints beat Tampa Bay pretty badly both times, and Tampa Bay, you know, they got them back when they counted most. So they got the hot hand right now. Well, both teams do, but it's going to be a very good game. But Brady and Rodgers, I'm still picking Brady, and I think he's going to get her done. I think he's going to shock the world.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me at all because it's Tom Brady. Like, the guy just wins in these moments, so it's not going to surprise me at all. For me, like, if Aaron Rodgers does not win this game, it just further puts a dent in his legacy, in my opinion. Because I know he's won a Super Bowl, but how many years is he going to get the Packers this close to a championship, and he just can't get it done? He lost to the Seahawks several years ago in the NFC Championship game. He lost last year to the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. If he loses this one too, man, I mean, again, I know it's a team game, but if he really wants to be considered one of the all-time great quarterbacks, which I think he's trending in that direction, I feel like he's got to get back to at least one more Super Bowl, does he not?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I agree with you, but that's the thing, though, is that, you know, the Packers, generally speaking, when it comes to the playoff football, they seem to always choke in these big games. So, because I personally think that the pressure's on Green Bay because they're going to be at home. And like you said, Rodgers is the one I think who needs to win more. Like, because if Rodgers does win this game, that's going to help him in his case, you know, legacy-wise. But that's the thing, though, is that, you know, if you're telling me, you know, as of right now, Brady versus Rodgers, like, I'm still picking Brady. And position now more than ever is very important in the NFL. So, and not only that, too, defensively, Tampa Bay, you know, I mean, I know they've been suspect at times this year, but I mean, they can get turnovers here and there, and they proved it when they played Green Bay the first first time. So I think that's going to be a big key in this game. But like I said, pressure's on Green Bay, and I guess I'm expecting Rodgers to crumble.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, like I said, Rodgers has not been the best in the postseason. I believe his career record now is 11-8 after this win against the Lambs this past week. So Rodgers can definitely be had in the playoffs. So it's not going to surprise me at all if the Bucs go in there and win. I'm almost just expecting the Packers to win just because everything has just aligned perfectly for them this year. They're the 1 seed. They're playing at Lambeau Field. It's going to be cold.
If it's a Green Bay versus Buffalo, I think that would be a pretty even matchup. But then again, if Kansas City does beat Buffalo, I mean, they'll have those 2 weeks to get healthy. So I don't know. I don't know if they would be favorites or not. I think that's kind of jumping the gun, but I'm not. I just think that for this week, though, I put my money on Tampa. So we'll see what happens. But I think either way, it should be a good game, though.
And regardless who wins this weekend, Matt, we're going to have an incredible matchup between the quarterbacks. I mean, we could have either Brady versus Allen, Brady versus Mahomes, Rodgers versus Mahomes, Rodgers versus Allen. Like any of those 4 matchups would be intriguing to me. So it's exciting. I'm really looking forward to this year's Super Bowl. It should be a good one.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's actually a good point because, yeah.
Oh,
No, I was just going to say, if it was Brady's and Mahomes, that would be a rematch of that AFC title game from a couple of years ago. And a lot of people are crowning Mahomes as a potential GOAT candidate. So it'd be the old man versus the young gunslingers. So that would be interesting.
well, hey, if Mahomes wins another Super Bowl this year, I mean, that's 2 in 4 years of his career. I mean, he's definitely on a nice pace there to definitely be in the greatest of all time discussion, like you said. So we'll have to wait and see. It's still a little premature to be saying that, in my opinion, but there's no doubting Mahomes is just crazy talented, man. We haven't seen a kid like him in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so you're picking the Bucs and the Bills, and I am picking the Packers and the Bills. So we'll see how it all shakes out this weekend. All right, Matt, before we get out of here, we got to get to this press conference in Detroit that happened today. Dan Campbell is the new head coach of the Detroit Lions, which surprised pretty much everyone, I would have to say. He was, I believe, the Saints tight end coach this past year. Is that right, Matt?
Yeah, I think it was the tight ends coach and the assistant head coach, but yeah, that was his role.
Just insane. And I know he was an interim head coach for the Dolphins in 2015. I believe that was the year they fired Joe Philbin, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so I know he was the interim head coach for like half of that season, and he did pretty well from what I remember. And of course, he is a former player. He actually was a tight end in the NFL and played for the Lions. So I guess he's kind of familiar with that organization, how much they've sucked for years and years and years. But man, I just couldn't believe it, man. I mean, there's so many solid candidates out there, like Eric Bieniemy, for example. How he has not been hired as a head coach to this point just baffles me. I don't know if it's because of his criminal background from years ago, but Eric Bieniemy has been under Andy Reid for several years now. He's been the OC in Kansas City. He was the OC last year when they won the Super Bowl. I like to think that he would be a quality candidate, but no, the Lions decided to go with Dan Campbell of all people. And to say that he had an interesting press conference today is quite an understatement. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and see if this is going to work for us. All right. And of course, I'm on the wrong page here. Where is it? There we go. So here's what I want everybody to hear, this part of the press conference.
We're going to kick you in the teeth. All right. And when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off. All right. And we're going to stand up. And then it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down. Before long, we're going to be the last one standing. That's going to be the mentality. Campbell said.
Did you hear that, Matt?
Oh yeah, it was a thing of beauty. Thing of beauty.
Bite is that what he said? I mean, my goodness. I mean, does this work anymore? This rah, like, yeah, we're gonna go in there and kick some tail, man. Like, we're gonna steal their lunch money. Like, come on. I just cringe when I was listening to that. 'Cause it's like, are players really gonna buy into that? Maybe some of the young players will, like the rookies and guys that haven't been in the league for very long. But for the veterans, are they gonna listen to that in the locker room and be like, "Oh yeah, man, this is a guy I'm gonna, you know, run through a brick wall for"? I don't know, man. It just seems super cheesy to me. And is this guy really a great coach, a head coach? Maybe he's a good positional coach, but I don't know. To me, I think the Lions are setting themselves up for mediocrity for the next few years or however long he's going to be there.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, I personally like that speech, but at the same time, that I mean, yeah, it was kind of over the top for sure, but still, I mean, I found it amusing, and I feel like at least some of their players will look at that and be like, yeah, let's hit the weight room now. But but that's actually a good point though, because these are professionals who make millions of dollars, and I think ultimately they want to be coached, for them to be in the right position to win games, and obviously have them earn their paychecks, and have almost like a cartoon like character come in and have this rah speech. Yeah, maybe some players may not like that, but that's going to be interesting though. I'm for sure going to be keeping an eye on Detroit this season, because Dan Campbell has definitely caught my eye, because I remember when it was like 5 or 6 years ago, but when he was the Dolphins interim head coach, he said a lot of words kind of like what he just said today. So
Very outspoken.
Yeah, very outspoken. He's kind of like that gunnery sergeant, but
And I remember when he took over, Matt, for the Dolphins, I think his first practice as interim head coach, he had the team running Oklahoma drills. Are you ready? Here we go. Say it. Which is something you would see in high school football, maybe even college, but you don't hear NFL teams doing that, mainly because you're probably going to injure yourself. It's not worth the risk, the amount of money these guys are making. But yeah, I mean, he's in a lot of ways, I guess he's kind of an old-fashioned coach, but I don't know. I just don't think that's going to fly in today's modern NFL. Give me a coach with brains and that can out-scheme the other team over a guy that's going to be like, yeah, we're going to pick them up like this, and we're going to throw them over our shoulders, and then we're going to drown them, and we're going to bash them over the head. Like, okay, that's all great, but they're hearing everything you're saying over there, and they're taking it personally, and now they're kicking our ass because of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say, yeah. Well, I would say this is that, like, if the Lions players like actually buy into it, they actually like buy into Dan Campbell, like they're running like that kind of show over there, like
Dan Soup.
I mean, I don't know, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many games that they would win per se in that division or just in general, but like, I mean, they would make games very interesting though. I mean, they might be that team that like everyone hates to play because they're just gonna like play way after the whistle and they're gonna start fights and all that good stuff. So that's what I'm saying. They're gonna be interesting regardless. They're gonna be very interesting to watch.
Going to be a lot of personal foul and taunting penalties. Yeah, that'll be good for them.
Yeah, they're probably going to be the most penalized team in the league next year.
We'll see. Like, I'm always going to give somebody a chance when it comes to coaching. I mean, it takes usually a good 2 or 3 years for a new head coach to come in and really put their thumbprints, their fingerprints on the team. But I don't know. I know you said that you would be fired up after listening to that. For me, I'd just be like, okay, dude, whatever. Like, I don't need you to, like you said, be a drill sergeant to get motivated. I mean, that's what some of those players in Detroit need, and I guess they made the perfect hire. But I don't know, man. I just don't know if that's going to fly. Maybe in the beginning it'll be something new and fresh for the players, but I feel like after a while, a couple of years of that kind of shit, I don't know. I just don't think that's going to win them. And also, Matt, are the Lions even going to keep Matt Stafford at quarterback? I mean, I keep hearing all these rumors that he's going to get traded to the Colts, my Colts. So they might not even have Stafford going into 2021. We'll have to wait and see on there. But I don't know. The Lions are still the Lions. I don't see anything changing anytime soon.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. Because if they do trade Stafford, then that they're obviously they would be going in a different direction. But I mean, that if they actually could, if someone was willing to give up a couple of first-round picks, that might be something worth looking into. Because I mean, I do think Stafford's a great quarterback, but at the same time, the Lions aren't winning with him, so they might need a new face, whether it's through the draft or free agency. So, because I do think that with having a head coach like Campbell on board, the Lions should go young. So that might start at quarterback. So they might need to look into that.
Yeah, I would love to see Stafford go elsewhere just to kind of prove how good he really is. I don't know if I'm willing to say he's a great quarterback, Matt. I think he can be if he's got the right pieces around him. I mean, he did lead the Lions to the playoffs a couple times, but I just would love to see him go to a new organization, get a fresh start somewhere, because I really feel like he would thrive in a new environment. I think it's long overdue. So I really, really hope that the Lions trade him to a decent team, not just, like the Eagles, for example. The Eagles are, oh my goodness. Don't get me started on that. But yeah, he's got to go to the right situation. I think that would be wise for the Lions to do that. If they can get a couple of first round picks, I mean, that to me would be a no brainer because they're probably not going to go anywhere next year with them. So you might as well just ship them out and start over. And like you said, draft their new guy for the future.
Yeah. I feel like Stafford, he's probably like a tier lower than Phillip Rivers, but he's kind of near that level of talent. So it's kind of one of those quarterbacks where, drafted by the wrong team, and because of that, he kind of had to suffer because of it. But
Yep.
if you got to a team like Indianapolis with all that talent, they should easily be able to be right back in the playoffs and if not win some playoff games. So yeah, that would be interesting. We'll be keeping our eyes and ears on the Detroit Lions this season.
Oh yeah, you better believe it. All right, man. Well, that's going to do it for our show for this week. I was hoping we would have some time to get into some NBA talk, but I think I'm going to hold off maybe till next week just because our last couple of episodes have been a little lengthy. So I'm trying to cut them down a little bit. So I think we'll save it for next week. I wanted to get into the James Harden trade, which of course happened a week ago already, but wanted to get into that and also talk some Lakers because the Lakers are on fire to start the year. They won again tonight. They're 12-4 now in the year, I believe. So I think next week we'll get into some more NBA talk, and of course we'll be recapping the conference championship games.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. So as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, click the subscribe button because we need more followers.
Smash the subscribe
button. Do it now.
Click the like button and leave a comment. We would greatly appreciate it. And we are on Twitter. I keep forgetting to promote that, but we are on Twitter at Big Mouth Willie. That's at Big Mouth Willie. Until next time, I'm Ryan Willis.
And I'm Matt Willis.